Well, it'd be
Good afternoon, everybody. As Board Secretary to the Amherst County Service Authority Board, I call the reorganizational meeting of the board to order. Let the record show it is 1:30 on Tuesday, January 5th. The first order of business is the nomination and election by the board of a board chair, after which I will turn over the meeting to that person. So I'm looking for nominations.
Okay, I would like to nominate David Pugh for the position of the board chair.
second.
Are there any other nominations? Then, Ms. Moore, would you like to turn that into a motion?
Yep, I make a motion that David Pugh be elected to the Amherst County Service Authority board chair position for 2021.
Vote. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Pugh. I turn the meeting over to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hopkins and board. I appreciate that. You might have to bear with me. Let me get my chairmanship legs under me as we go through this. And if I miss anything, please let me know. It's been a while. I guess now the next order of business would be vice chair. And with that, I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Tom Martin, nominate him as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Martin. Are we?
You're so
I
enthusiastic.
hope you're never, not here.
All right, now we have the Service Authority Board appointment for the treasurer for 2021. You'll have to help me here. Oh, who's going to be treasurer this year? Typically, who is treasurer?
Historically, is the county treasurer.
Okay. Ms. Carter.
Right.
So would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd make the motion that the county treasurer be appointed as the ACS treasurer for 2020.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll move to the location and schedule for our regular board meetings. Currently, it is 1:30, the first Tuesday of every month. Is there any discussion as far as our time or location?
I'd like to say something if you would mind.
Mm-hmm.
About a year ago, I brought up the idea of moving these meetings to Madison Heights. It was turned down at the time, but since then, I've gotten several more customers asking me why the meetings are held in Amherst during the middle of a weekday when nobody can attend. One person actually asked me, what is the board trying to hide? What I would like to do is move these meetings to be an evening meeting in Madison Heights. And I've talked to, we could do it maybe at the public library, maybe at the rec center, something like that. I think all of you all live in Madison Heights, and it would be like a good break. You could leave the supervisors meeting, go home, take a break, then come back for the, if we did it at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night, come back for the service meeting. So I just want to throw that out for discussion.
Board, I know we've, in the past, during my tenure on this board, it's been probably 6-7 years ago that we moved some of these meetings down to Madison Heights at the, right beside Mount Ellison Middle School. I forget the name of it, but it's the alternative school. And we had them down there. I don't know if we had the service authority down there or not, but we didn't get a lot more interest. I'm open to whatever you all would like. It would be nice for people to be able to come to the meetings when they have questions or concerns. But I'm also fine with what we're doing now, so I'll leave it up to you all.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with your point about access for citizens and so forth. I've got no objection to moving it to Madison Heights. I think that we want to make sure that the media capability is there since times have changed so much. But I would defer to, if it's on the same day as the supervisors meeting, I think that's going to be challenging for you all. So I would defer to what the supervisors think, so that you're not rushed or bracketed to on your earlier supervisors meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am all for more citizen participation, but in the year that I've served on this board, I only can think of a handful or maybe one time that a citizen has actually come to speak with us. And I don't think that that's necessarily because of where we have the need at the time. But in any event, personally, I wouldn't want another night meeting. And moving it to Madison Heights would probably make it difficult for the board to get back here for its board meeting. So I just assume leave it the way it is.
Yeah, it'd be my preference to leave it the way it is, but Mr. Hopkins, I'd be interested in numbers about how many people have asked for it in the evening. And I don't know if that's in the last 5 years, if that's in the last month, how many people have asked. Nobody has contacted me specifically. Anybody contacted?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say in the 5 years I've been here, maybe 2 dozen people. So it's not a lot. But to respond to your statement, if the meeting's in the middle of a workday, you're not going to get a lot of people coming to this meeting. I think if we did it in the evening, I think it might facilitate getting people to come and participate, find out what the service authority is all about.
Mr. Hopkins, we do have our public hearings. We do that with the Board of Supervisors from time to time as well, don't we?
Once a year,
So
typically for the racing days.
Okay. The other issue that was raised is your communications. When we did move it down there, we had a hard time. We had to bring all the communication equipment to Madison Heights, set it up, record it, bring it back to Amherst. It was a, So with that being said, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we keep the times the same for this year. Do I need a second on that? If not, I'll go ahead and make that motion and ask that everybody signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Pugh, if I may, if anybody contacts you, you're more than willing to provide our contact information too, so that they can reach out to us and let us know their preference on meetings. That way at least we can hear from the community.
I'll do it.
Or certainly, bring their concerns to us if you speak with them and they discuss these issues, anything with you. Of course, we would like to hear that as well. So that you can be a liaison for people to speak with you. Okay, now we're going to move on to resolution 2021-A-0001-R. Mr. Hopkins, do you want to talk about this?
This is just the standard resolution that pertains to the board reaffirming their adherence to a code of ethics and reapplying the rules of procedure. There are a few changes that I've made from last year because of the structure of the board, and these were sent to Mr. Lockerbie, the county attorney. He's approved them. They were really minor. It just has to do with in places in the resolution and in the attached documents, it refers to elected representatives of the Service Authority, and since we've got two appointed, and actually all 5 of you are appointed. So I made that change and a few other minor changes. But Mr. Lockerbie has reviewed them, and he's okay.
Any discussion, board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 2021-A-001-R.
Motion is on the floor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll have citizen comment. I don't see anybody here. We'll go ahead and close that. We need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have the minutes for December 1st, 2020. Any corrections, any issues with those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, move the adoption of the minutes.
All in favor, a motion on the floor, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll move along to the monthly financial report. Mr. Hopkins, I'll go ahead and give the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, comparing, excuse me, this is for the month of November of 2020. Comparing, as we normally do, to the same period of the month of November 2019 and year to date for last year through November. As of right now, sales, we are almost 20% to the good, positive. And as we've talked about it many times in past meetings, that includes VDOT reimbursements that are, and we've talked about why they're in this line. It's one of the things that we're going to fix in the this next year. But even if you take those VDOT reimbursements out, we're still almost $100,000 ahead of last year through November. That's about 3.1% better than last year. And that's also almost double the 1.6% that we were at last month's meeting. Total revenues for water, we're almost 20% ahead. Connections, we are about 50% more than last year in new water connections. That is, that's more than all of 2019. This is through November, but the number of 35 is now more than the total we had for 2019, more than 50% more than we had for the previous 5-year annual average, and a little bit over 50% of the pre-recession annual average. So we are still recovering from the recession. Wastewater sales were about 3.25% low compared to November of last year, but that's an improvement over the last month. Total revenues were actually about 8% to the good. Connections, we already have more connections than all of 2019, almost twice the 5-year annual average and more than the pre-recession annual average. So we're doing pretty well in connections. Combined water and wastewater sales.
Mr. Hopkins, I've got a question on wastewater revenues.
Yes, sir.
All right, so after a year and looking at this, yes, I assume that CBTC was a major wastewater purchaser.
Yes, sir.
Biggest.
And they still are.
And still are, okay. And then also, you've got, they're also the major water purchaser, right, still are.
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
No, they're so much bigger in wastewater because their sewer system, it all has to do with infiltration, inflow of stormwater that are still getting into those sewers. They go down through the meter and they have to pay for it.
Interesting. All right, so, so you're actually metering the sewer system for that?
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
Always have.
That's interesting.
We actually have 2 meters, and we actually, I think it was 2018, CBTC actually paid us $50,000 to put in new meters because they were really concerned that the meter readings we were getting were not accurate. And it turned out they were almost right on.
So my question is, we've got increasing water revenues, but declining wastewater revenues. Help me understand that.
I wish I could. I really don't know. Now, it could, well, it again, and we've talked about this before, the only thing that really comes to mind is that about 85% of our connections are residential, and we bill residential only bi-monthly. So you're not billing the same people every month. And all I can think is that 1 month you're gonna get, we're billing areas that have a lot of houses in them, and the next month we're billing areas that don't have that many houses.
But for the year, though, we're going to be
Well, you would think. You would
we're going
think.
to be down.
Well, I have an idea of why it might be down more so than usual. The fact of the matter is restaurants are no longer having people, and most of the business is done through drive-ins, like a place like Biscuitville or some of these other places. No one's using the bathroom in these places as much as they had been. I'm not saying that would apply for a 3%, but it would definitely be less wastewater coming in when a lot of these places aren't having people in the businesses.
That's a good point.
Mr. Hopkins, with the exception of the training center, the other sewers, is that based off of water usage?
Yes, sir. That's the way we bill it.
So, to your point, Mr. Pugh, about the restaurants not using the restrooms, they wouldn't be using as much water either, right? So, the water usage is up, but sewer is down, right? So, it's very odd.
It's an interesting anomaly, and well, we can talk about that later. Maybe worth looking into the numbers for this past year. Well, is that a trend over multiple years?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know off the top of my head.
We're putting a lot more water connections than sewer connections, so for every water connection, we're adding revenue, but we're getting very few sewer connections to meet that.
That's a good point. That's about 2 to 1.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to work out is operating revenue, I guess. I wouldn't consider connections to be operating revenue. Right, so that's.
And I'm just saying that, I mean, that's
I
what
think-
you get your
Started
usage.
using it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You're probably right. That's a good point.
Yeah, just trying to interpret the numbers, that's all.
I understand.
Sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem. I mean, that's what we're here for. You know, if we knew the answers, you know, we wouldn't have to ask the questions.
And it has been, so it's always going to be right.
Well, your water connections are always going to be more because you have more people serviced by water versus sewer. Our water area is larger and has more houses, so it typically does lag behind your wastewater does lag behind your water sales.
But the point, to go back to Mr. Crow's statement, that wouldn't reflect the drop from last year. So I really don't know what it is. I mean, 2 good points have been made that would certainly contribute to it.
Yeah. Is there anything else under the financials you all would like to discuss?
Well, I want to bring one more thing up, if nobody has any other questions, because I included in as an agenda item attachment, a draft of the, what I'm working on for a new format for the financial report. And just wanted to let you know that, Mitchell will take a look at it. I've added somebody, I think Mr. Woods has suggested that we add the previous month as a column for comparison to the current month. And I've rearranged a little bit. I took the, all of the water sales information and italicized it and put it in a box. And if you look just above the box, that is the total of everything inside the box. So that was another point that everybody had made, or several people had made. The second page is a chart which shows the projected and monthly revenues for 2020. And you can see that the gray is projected. You can see I started out relatively low in January during the winter and built it up to a peak in July and August and went back down. And you can see, as I pointed out in the past, the revenues go all over the place for various reasons. It's not going to follow any kind of a bell curve. The green are where the actual revenues were higher than the gray, the projected, and the red is where we were lower. So this is if this is something you all would like to see, I would start including this in the monthly report next year. But we'll talk about it at the planning session, I'm sure.
I have a question. Is there, well, you probably have a reason why we bill people bi-monthly. Can you explain that?
It's just the way, as far as I know, it's just the way we've always done it. I don't know if there's an actual reason for it.
I don't know if your system couldn't handle it, you needed time to film or.
Not that no, I don't think so. I think it's just historic. And I think most, yeah, no, we build residential by month. Business we bill monthly. And it could very well be that the, trying to, well, it might just be the meter reading. And trying to read about 5,000 meters every single month, we probably have to bring on at least one more person to do that. I'd be willing to bet that's probably the reason.
Okay.
So you bill water bi-monthly also, or just?
No, water is billed bi-monthly, sewer is, well, sewer is also.
Okay, so that makes sense.
And it's half of the service area on even months and the other half on odd months or something roughly.
It's not half, at least not, it might be half geographically, it's definitely not half by the number of connections. The service area is built up into, is divided up into what over the years, we've got books. And each book is an area and has a certain number of customers in it. And again, I think it's just a matter of growth over the years. That was the most expedient way to do it.
It's better reading meters, I agree.
So, just a question, with these, with these reports that you prepare, is this something that you all put together in the office in Excel, or?
Yeah, it's an Excel spreadsheet, and I sent it to Mr. Crow at his request yesterday.
Right. I was just wondering if it would be easier if there was some sort of program, like a QuickBooks-based program that might be able to, accomplish the same thing, but give multiple reports. When we ask for a different report, if you had a QuickBooks-based program or something similar to that, it could generate multiple different views of the reports. I mean, the data has to be entered. Just to know what you used. I was assuming it was Excel based on the way you entered the data. I just wonder if there's a more efficient way to do it.
There could very well be. I'm not that familiar with this part of it. I can talk to the water office manager and see what she thinks. Again, it's something we can talk about at the planning.
Sure, absolutely.
Anything else? Okay, the following is another chart which is cumulative for the year. And again, the gray is projected. And next to it is each month the actual, the information I get from the finance department. And you can see that for through August of 2020, we're doing real well. So.
How do they project these? Based off of previous years?
No, this is actual revenue. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, what I did was just I took the previous chart and just added them up and came up with the projections going forward. So on the third, on the second chart, at the far left, the number is the same as January on the previous chart. The next gray would be January and February, then February and March, and it just builds through the year. And as for my projections, I just went through and I've looked at previous years and came up with a series of percentages to take of different percentages of the total revenue to apply to each month. Then adjusted them to make them look more like the bell curve that's on that chart, on the monthly chart. because we definitely see more water use in the summer than in the winter. Does that answer your question?
There's a lot of information there, you know. When we look at these, I'll be honest, the more condensed these are for me, the better I can understand them. I don't want to, I mean, maybe you are different, but when I'm looking at like 15 pages of financials, you know, that can be overwhelming to me. I like it condensed where I can see where we're hitting. I guess it's kind of like the old dog with new tricks, you know, I'm used to what we've seen. And I don't know where we're going, but I mean, as long as it's not, you know, just so much, you can't even take it all in. I mean, I want it condensed. I don't want it to be, you know, a huge financial statement where we're sitting here reading financials for an hour.
And I'm the same way. Until the last few months, when questions started coming back up, you know, for the first time about this report, I've always wanted to change this report. But I was reluctant to bring it up because no board member ever asked a question or suggested changes to it. And I was reluctant to change something that had been in use for years, if not decades. So I appreciate the questions. What I showed you on the first 3 pages are things that I wanted to do for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that the charts would be a lot, if it's more visible and a lot easier to view and understand than me trying to spouting off numbers or you reading numbers on a page. So I'm hoping that if you all like that format, again, we'll talk about it at the retreat, but if this is the kind of thing you want to see, this is where I want to go.
Mr. Chairman, I think to your point, if you'd like to see it more simply, and you've been on board for 6 years and you know this stuff backwards and forwards, imagine what some random member of the public, they want to take a look at it. I think we need to keep that in mind and keep it as simple as possible.
I agree. Anything else, Bob, on that?
No, sir, that's all I've got on the financial report.
All right, we're going to old business, staff report.
Okay, first item, we talked last month about the James River and the erosion problem down there. We've had 3 pretty significant storms in the last month. I went down there a few days ago after the river had finally dropped back down to where we could see something. I've got a few pictures in there. If you look at the first photo, it's looking upstream from just outside the core project and the project, the work that our crew did. In the foreground, it was the smaller stones, it's the work that our crew did. And if you look about 100 feet up, you can see the larger stones, that's the end of the core project. We need to put some more larger stone on top of what we're doing. But this is where we want to go with all this. This is holding up real well. And we did a similar project back in 2007. It's now been there for 13 years and it's still in real good shape. The next photograph is just looking over the same area, but looking downstream. Just shows the same kind of thing. The third photograph is the one I really want you to look at. If you look in the left foreground, you see that white vertical pole. And if you look about in the distant, just north of the center of the page, you can just barely see another white pole. Between those poles is a sewer, straight line between the poles. And if you look where the erosion is encroaching on, it's getting real close to that road, and it's probably only about 20 feet from the sewer. So this is what we're talking about. This is what we have to try to arrest. And the last photograph is just some of the work that we're doing, collecting concrete and other things that we can use to hold down fabric and to protect the erosion. Anytime I hear about a construction project, I'm talking to foremen, telling them if you all have any large pieces of concrete you want to get rid of, we'll take them and I send the crew up together.
Mr. Hopkins, what's the age of that sewer?
77, I think. So about 50 years, almost 50 years, 45 years.
And that's the trunk line that collects CBTC in the little home park and it's pumped across or everything. No, that's everything. Oh yeah, I guess it has to be. I think I've seen this work from the Monica Bridge.
Well, I'm sure you have.
I wondered what it was, now I realize. Okay. So if this is such a, well, this may be a discussion for the later retreat, but this is such a critical issue. You've got an old sewer there. Would it be would you consider replacing the sewer 20 feet towards the bank?
Toward,
Yeah,
away from the river.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it's all rock,
Uh,
and secondly, that's where the bike trail is. There's really not much room to put it anywhere else.
So, Mr. Hawkins, say that the river doesn't encroach on the sewer line anymore. What's the life expectancy of that sewer?
Probably another 40, 50 years.
Assuming there's no inflow. I mean, I bet it's 70-year-old sewer, pretty old, but that's our.
Well, no, it was
No,
built
it's
built in 77, it's about
Oh,
45 years
77.
old.
Yeah,
All right, that's better, excuse
You're
me.
saying it's got about another 40, 50?
Yeah, okay, all right. I could, that-
I understand your thought process.
The other thing I wanted to let y'all know was I found a grant that is offered by Case Construction Equipment. And what they do is they offer $25,000 rental equipment grants to public agencies that have these kind of projects. And I've made an application to them for this money. And what we would use it for, one of the big problems we have is we don't have anything big enough to move heavy stuff, especially from the bank down into the river, which is the first thing we need to do. We need to set a foundation in the river where we can start placing smaller stone and have it stay in place while we finish armoring. So that's what I've asked for, both a long boom track hoe and also trucks to move large stone. And I'm not sure when they actually make the awards. I'm hoping here sometime soon, as soon as I hear something else.
Well, hopefully, I mean, we've been in an extremely wet weather pattern in the past several years. 70 inches of rain this year, and I guess last year was a little bit of a reprieve, but the year before was just as wet. So, I mean, I'm surprised it hadn't eroded more than what it has.
Well, we've been fortunate. The armoring that's been done is, like I said, it's really helped out. But the areas that are not armored are really a problem. What I want to do is fill the gap, armor the gap between the core project and the project the Service Authority did back in 2007. That will take care of a lot of the problems.
So, Mr. Hawkins, with that grant, do they provide the equipment, or do they provide the equipment and the operators?
That I'm not sure, but I've talked with our operations manager, and they said if our backhoe operators ought to be able to handle that. And if we can't, then I can always find a trackhoe operator.
So, just so I'm understanding this, so we know we've got an issue there between the two projects that need to be fixed, and it sounds like you've been taking a lot of initiative to find concrete where you can, and this and that. I mean, is it at the point where we just need to go ahead and fix this?
Well, this is what we talked about last meeting, where we're trying to get a nationwide permit from the Corps of Engineers. It might be a couple more months or even longer before we get it.
Okay,
And we're just, I'm just kind of leery, just,
I remember now.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
More questions?
I have none.
Next item is the VDOT Woody's Lake Road project. The water main is now completely installed. Right from Route 29 all the way down to the end of the project around the Cloud Lane. They are finishing the relocation of the existing services to the new main. We invoiced the VDOT for reimbursement of over $250,000 in December, and this will pretty much complete what VDOT will reimburse. And the rest of the work is going to be on us. I'm thinking it's going to be about $300,000, which is what we talked about last meeting when I had money moved into this line item to do that work. To date, Service Authority has invoiced VDOT $1,018,660, and that will probably go up to between $1,025,000 and $1,050,000. They've reimbursed us almost $750,000, and like I said, there's about over $250,000 that we should receive in January, and then there may be one more reimbursement later this month. We're having our next project meeting is Thursday, but this sewer is, I mean, these water lines are about 40, 50 years old, and another 20 years or so, they were going to be replaced anyway. So this is saving the service authority well over $1 million, and in another 20 years, it might be $2 million the way it costs. Phelps Road School, we've gotten almost all the fire vault issues addressed. The only thing we have to do now is I need to get the contractor to set up for one of our crew members to do a confined space entry into the vault, which we haven't done yet, just to see everything that they put in and make sure that everything looks good.
So that is progressive, it's not just continuing nothing happens.
I got an email and responded to it from the contractor today.
That's an update from the report.
I'm sorry?
That's good. That's an update from what was posted in your report. That's good.
Yes, that's just happened. VC Mobile Home Park, you've got in your, and I think you all have already seen them, the assistance request letters that we sent to Senators Newman and Peake and Delegates Walker and Campbell. Mr. Perot actually contacted them all directly. Thank you, Mr. Perot, and anybody else who also did that. Delegate Walker's office actually called me on December 16th and said that Walker and his staff are cautiously optimistic that this will actually go through, though they cautioned that Walker is a freshman delegate from the minority party, which historically does not do real well. But I'm still optimistic. I've talked to several people, residents down at the mobile home park, and they said they were going to start calling these same government reps. I've talked to the trailer park owners. They're going to do the same, and they've also committed to helping us with the cost and the work if we can get this $100,000. I was interviewed by WSET TV on, I guess it was December 20th. That was on the evening news, and there was a second article in New Era Progress about this issue last week. Questions?
It'd be nice if it was a little more than, so what is the 100,000 going to cover? I mean, if we do get it, I mean, that's a.
It's going to pay for the materials and all of the, I mean, we've got to dig up and restore pavement, sidewalk, maybe move utilities, maybe move telephone poles. So that's what that money is for. And what I've committed us to do is we will provide the labor, the equipment, the fuel, whatever, and we will actually do all the actual work. That's our ask.
I thought it would be more expensive.
Well, it's a $250,000 project, and so I'm asking for 100,000. I figured I was really just wasting my time trying to ask them for all of it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back and show them, that, hey, we're going to do the lion's share of the work. I said, we just need some help with them. Grand Creek Reservoir Dam improvements. The final bonds closing documents have been received. The money is in our bank account and available for use for reimbursement once we start getting invoices. And Herd Profit is working on the survey and design for the work. Westvale Court Sanitary Sewer Extension. It took a while, but I had to do some serious negotiation with Herd Profit to get their costs down. But we do have a proposal that we can work with. Now, to save on that, I'm probably going to do the bidding and the contract administration myself to keep those costs down, keep them within the quote that I gave you all in my estimate. But that shouldn't be any big deal. I'm also talking to the developer, Mr. Gillespie, about making a partial payment on his tap fees, which will take care of this entire Herd Profit invoice. Get that money up front. And I've still got to get back with Mr. Lockett, the county attorney, on that developer agreement, Mr. Mark. He and I discussed it, we just haven't agreed on it. Next item is that I want to talk about is the municipal utility relief program. The governor's moratorium on cutoffs due to unpaid bills has been reestablished. I hoped that wouldn't be reestablished until later when we could hopefully get more people on our installment payment plans and get some of these plans paid off, but that didn't pan out. We haven't received it yet, but we're going to receive almost $27,000. 5% of that, or about $1,350, will be kept for administration, service authority administration and program money. And what I'm planning on doing is taking the money and applying 85% to miscellaneous water, 15% to miscellaneous sewer, which coincides with the 85% of our total services, our water and the other, our sewer. The memorandum of understanding has been completed, submitted, and received by the state. We sent notices to the customers that have accounts arrearages about, that was one of the requirements of the program. We did send notices about the service cutoffs moratorium and the financial assistance. We sent out 258 notices, and we've gotten about 15 back so far. What I intend to do is up until last, I think it was Friday, the state's deadline was we had to use all the money or return it by January 29th. Now that has since been extended, I think indefinitely. And that's part and parcel with this whole process on this program. It has been such a mess. They've done a horrible job in putting it together. Of course, they were rushed. They wanted to get it done by the end of the year. But they've been changing the guidelines about every other day, and it's just it's really been difficult to work with. But what I want to do is apply the money to those of our customers who are currently on installment plans and have them paid up to date. I feel those people have been the most responsible and the most responsive to be mature enough, responsible enough to get on the installment payment plan and keep them paid up to date. So we're working on that. That's about 90 people that we will apply the money to first, and if we don't get enough of those people responding, then we would start expanding the program to include some of the others. And as I mentioned, the state's deadline for returning the money got extended last week, but I set in my notice a deadline of January 15th to get the customer requests, the customer applications in, and I want to hold on that. I don't want to go past that unless we absolutely have to. I'd like to get this done and over with. And part of the reason for that is that my understanding is that in the new federal stimulus bill, there is additional water bill assistance money going to be available. So I'd like to get this program done and out of the way before that becomes public, and we will be applying for that. I don't want to get in the middle of trying to figure out which program we're in, who's in what. And there's been another recent issue. You can't double dip in this. If our money, the money we're getting from the state is CARES Act money. So any other program that is giving assistance to our customers that is funded by CARES Act money, they're not eligible for our money. And there have been a lot of our customers that are getting money from the interfaith outreach, and I'm trying to find out where they're getting their money from. If it's CARES Act money, then anybody that they give money, any of our customers they give money to, are likely not going to be eligible for our money. But I've been trying to get hold of interfaith outreach was closed all last week. They said they were going to be open yesterday, and they weren't. So I did finally get something to call me back this morning. So I'm working with them to find out where their money comes from. So I'll keep that with you.
Well, that seems kind of interesting. So you got to rely off the customer that is contacting you regarding the relief program?
Well, they pay us directly.
Okay.
They send the money to us and tell us which accounts it's to give back to, which customer gets the money.
Okay, gotcha.
And the last item under old business is the planning retreat. It's scheduled for Monday, January 25th, right? Is that what we decided? I think I've got it in my notes wrong.
Got it here on January 26th.
So that's what I got in my report, but I thought we said it
It's
was
the
originally
25th.
going to be on the 26th. I thought we moved it to Monday.
Yeah, I have it on my calendar for the 25th.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, it's Monday, the 25th from 9 to 3, here in this room. Current topics of discussion are the financial report format and content, the annual budget format and content, the asset management, water line replacement projects, sanitary sewer extension projects, service authority assistance with county economic development, water office refurbishing or relocation, and general planning for service for the future. If you all have any other things you want me to put on this agenda to talk about, either let me know now or send me an email, and I'll make sure they get added. Is there anything you all want to do in the way of preparing this room, or want me to get lunch set up, or how do you want to handle this things? Just want to take a break for lunch and everybody go out on their own?
I think it's better to bring it in.
Yeah, catering, have somebody local catering would be fine.
Yeah, so if we're discussing sewer extensions, could we also look at where it might be feasible to water line?
Yes, sir, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about water line extensions, but just water line replacement.
I guess what I'd like to look at is kind of the service authority area and how that correlates with the county's growth area. You know, I even thought about maybe bringing in Jeremy Bryant for an hour or so, or just a few minutes to talk about where he sees growth occurring, where water and sewer extensions might be able to spur from.
I think a part of that discussion also, Bob, you just brought it up, is we have an aging system, and we have to take care of that aging system, in my opinion, before we actually extend it too much. I mean, if there's a project or there's something that's gonna come online, sure. But we've got to look at where our aging system needs to be prepared and fixed as well, because we have a lot of areas that are coming up on that age of replacement.
I agree. And since I came on, I've been looking at the service authority being in a period of what I call consolidation. Rather than extending into new areas, we've got a lot of areas that are vacant or that are developed and don't have water and or sewer in them. And I think we ought to be taking care of those areas before we open ourselves up to new areas.
Well,
Again, unless there's a project that comes up.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's worth looking at all this in the retreat, discussing what makes the most sense.
Yes, sir.
To that point, I think that's a good suggestion by Mr. Martin. I know the city of Lynchburg would have this capability. I'm not sure if Amherst County does, but is there a way for GIS documentation to be able to show density, like housing density, so that we could take a look and see what areas that are most dense but may not have water and sewer in our existing service area?
Well,
I think that's a very interesting point that you just made about we've got lines going out, but not the infill.
I was planning on bringing our water and sewer system maps in, and they cover our entire service area for water and sewer, and they show the houses. It should be pretty conclusive of the densities that you're talking about.
I think having Jeremy available, knowing where the developments are going to in the future could be helpful for a little bit.
So I guess, Mr. Hopkins, are you gonna make sure that Jeremy's available at some point during that day?
I can do that, yes, ma'am. And that's all I've got on old business, unless you all have anything for me.
All right. Well, let's hit on to new business, Mr. Hopkins.
First order of business is the operating and capital settlements on our contract with the city for wastewater treatment. As some of you are aware, I don't know if all of you are, but we quote unquote own 11.36% of the capacity of the city's regional wastewater treatment plant. And of course, we send about 98%. We've got two small wastewater treatment plants, but we send about 98, 99% of the wastewater we collect to the city for treatment. We've got to pay them for that. And anytime there are any capital improvements at the city plant, we're on the hook for 11.36% of the cost. So the first settlement is operating, and you can see that we're going to get, in the first attachment, you see we're getting about a $46,000 credit. And as the capital, there was a deficit of a little over 70,000. That's the second attachment. And what I've done, as we've always done in the past, is just apply the credit to the deficit and then pay the difference. So this is all taken care of. We didn't have to get any money out of reserves. there was money left over in the line, the budget line item for the difference. So this is just information to let you all know where we are. Questions? Okay. Next item, I think Ms. Moore, Madam Chair, it was you at the last meeting that brought up the idea of the amended budget. And I mentioned at the time that I've never been asked to present it in the past. I don't think Dan French ever was either. But I've included the amended budget in new business. There's a copy of it in there, along with all of the appropriations and reappropriations that made up the changes. I don't know whether you all want to talk about this now, or if you want to take some time and talk about it later. Maybe at the planning retreat, I can add this to the topic of discussion.
I think it's a retreat. It's appropriate.
Good.
Next item is a reappropriation request. Every year we have projects that are not complete by the end of the year that are in the current year's budget. They've got to carry over to the next year. And there's money left in the budget. So what I'm looking for is to get this money reappropriated from the 2020 budget into 2021 so we can continue and finish these projects. I've got the descriptions in there. I don't know if you want to spend a lot of time talking about each one, but if you have questions, I'll certainly answer them.
This project's all being previously approved. It's just not completed, it's cash flow.
Everything in here is money that's already in the 2020 budget so it's been approved by the board. It's just, I need to get moved to the next budget so we can finish this project.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that ACSA will approve the request for reappropriation of the remaining 2020 budget monies for incomplete 2020 projects into the 2021 budget.
We have a motion on the table. All signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next item is a report to the board about the Virginia Department of Health September sanitary survey or an inspection of the Atlanta water treatment plant. I did include the whole report. I don't think you really would want to read it. It's about 50 pages and it's just a lot of charts and numbers. But I did want to show you that give you the title page and also a copy of page 5, which if you read the new comments from this inspection, you can see that the inspector was really happy with the treatment plant itself, its condition, the waste being operated, and the water being produced. And he also congratulated us on our 2019 VDH treatment excellence program.
How big were the fish? How big were the fish?
The fish?
Did they make reference to fish in a sediment pond or something?
Yeah, there were some very small ones.
Pretty small. So it's swimming in the filter.
Any questions on that?
2 small fish observed in 1 to 7.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, we don't allow people to come fishing at the reservoir, so we thought we'd open up a new line of work and a new revenue source.
Yeah, trout pond, winter trout pond.
Next item is a real quick one. It's the hazard mitigation plan update. We've been talking about this for about the last year or so. That the plan has been submitted, as I've reported in the past, to FEMA and to the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. It's being reviewed. We've actually made an application to FEMA for a hazard mitigation grant for about $150,000. I reported on that last month. The purpose of this item is just to let you all know that Kelly Hitchcock from the Central Virginia Planning District Commission will be coming to the 2nd February supervisory meeting to give a brief presentation of the plan, what it entails, and so just to let you know about that upcoming issue.
This plan has been a sticking point with me. It's not an Amherst County issue, it's a regional issue, and the planning commission is about 1.5 years behind where they should be, which without this grant, you can no longer, or without the hazard mitigation plan, you can't apply for FEMA grants. And that, I know that's impacted one of my clients, the town of Alta Vista, because they can't apply for a grant for a generator without this. So this is an important piece of information that checks a box for other grant application processes, specifically with FEMA. But I'm glad to hear it's beginning to wrap up. Like I said, it's been a little bit of a thorn in my side.
I was planning, I hoped earlier this year, the application to FEMA was gonna be for the bank, for the river bank, to see if we could get some serious money to arm the rest of that bank, but without the nationwide permit, I didn't see the point. So the application is for the purpose of conducting a master plan to investigate the interconnection of our water system with the city's water system to provide a backup for the backup water source in case we ever lose the land plant for whatever emergencies.
All right. Any other questions on that? If not, I guess we'll go to the ACSA logo.
Yes, I have never liked our logo. You know, if you know anything about service authorities, there are dozens of things you can have. I mean, you can have a water service authority, wastewater, gas, utility, solid waste, or any combination of any of these things. So if you look at our logo as it is right now, and that's in the first attachment, if you look at that, you have no idea what we do. And I think that's at least part of the reason that we get so many questions and so much confusion from the public about who and what the service authority is. So I've been planning I'm planning to ask for a change to this logo for a long time. About a year ago, Lori Saunders from the EDA, after the county had approved the branding logo for the county, she came to me and asked about adding changing our logo or adding the A symbol to our existing logo. And I took that opportunity to go back and start looking at an updated logo and work with her, and she's real happy with it. She's excited. She thinks this is what we're proposing, and the second attachment is exactly what we're looking for. So she likes it. And Ms. Moore, I think you brought it up last month about adding it to our logo, adding the A to our logo. And so what this does, it not only gives a better indication right off looking at it as to what we do. We are a water utility. That's our main business, the main thing we do. But on top of that, it also shows where we are right now. The four geographical areas in the county that we actually have our system in are indicated, and that's another big thing that I'd like to include in this logo. Because at least, I say every other week, I'm getting phone calls from people north of Amherst asking if they can connect to our water system, connect to our sewer system, because they just don't know. And I think this would be a big help to that. And one thing I didn't do, I had gotten the McBride signs to take this thing and actually morph it into a photo of how it would look on our trucks. It's not a good photo because my copier just is the colors not real well, but it should give you a pretty good idea of what we're talking about and how it will look. So unless you all have questions about why I would like to do this, or if you have suggestions as to changes we could make to do it better, please let me know. But I would like to see this thing get approved. We need to go through and order business cards. Rose Richard and I need business cards, and I just ran out. This would be a good time to do this logo, put them on new business cards. But this would be our new logo on letterhead and everything else that we do.
Well, I'm pretty excited to see the new logo. I was with the Economic Development Authority when we released the Amherst County logo. I can tell that a lot of work went into it. I do have some suggestions. With the localities listed around it, what happens if we ever, in the future, decide to branch out past Faulknerville?
Just add them on. There's
Yeah,
no
then
money
we
to
have
add people.
Then we have to go back and add them. So I would be of the opinion we're one Amherst County, and we should remove those towns from around it. That way, it's Amherst County, it's timeless.
It is, but at the same time, like I said, we've got a lot of people that are always asking, people from Clifford. I got a phone call early last week saying somebody from Clifford wanted to connect to our water system.
And I think that's great. I don't know if it's on our website.
Well, except that we've got nothing up there. We don't have anything anywhere. I mean, we've got a single water line that connects to the town's system off the Ebenezer Road. So what I want to do as part of this, is we get these phone calls all the time, is have something that visually tells people where we are right now. And if we, excuse me, if we add Clifford right now, add Clifford to the system later on, we just add to the load.
I'm sorry, I kind of agree with Jennifer. I don't like the names around the water. I think it looks kind of gummed up and it doesn't, to me, I don't like it. And you still may get called even if you have this on the side of your truck or whatever. Monroe it's kind of hard to read. I don't like the towns around it or the census designated places.
Other comments?
My other suggestion would be to somehow put the A in the water drop, just because
We
it's
tried that.
it's hanging out over there and looks kind of.
We tried that, but if you look at it, it's mostly blue. And if you put it into that blue water drop, not only can you not really see the A, but you can't even determine that the water drop is a water drop. So each one detracts from the other.
Well, we have a different A, and it has a logo somewhere with a little fancy A.
But that's not the branding logo. And that's the EDA wants
that's
the
right
branding logo.
There's an A from the Amherst, it's part of the logo. And I would say, I see that you have drawn it out. The people, the consultants that are doing this, if you tell them what to do, I'm sure they could follow you, so you don't have to draw it out for them, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, we can certainly do it. I just don't.
Either the colorful A or the black A, either one, I think, should be inside the water drop.
Well, my only thought was, and I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I kind of thought picking up the lighter blue color from the A for the water drop itself. I just thought that might make it a little bit better, but I like the logo the way it is. I can see your point about the wording of the towns. If I was doing it, I would probably make that text darker, but it seems like it's going away. So who actually did the final drawing of the logo?
The EDA consultant.
The EDA consultant.
My sketch, but they
Yeah.
drafted it.
I mean, I think the concept is great. I would just ask him to look at maybe a lighter blue for the water drop. And, if you guys want to see a couple of words, maybe Amherst County around it, something or nothing.
Well, they're the experts too. I mean, let them come up with some stuff and come back with us with 3 examples. And
That's kind of what I was thinking at the meeting. This is a great start, but let the graphic designer say, hey, we like this, we like the suggestion that Mr. Pugh made, we like the suggestion that Mr. Martin's made, and here's something else that we thought of, and let's put the A in the middle and try that. Come back 4 or 5 and look at them, see what we like.
And we can do that. Now the work that they've done so far that you're seeing here, they did that gratis. But they finally got to a point where, I mean, I sent them several things and Lori finally got back with me and said, they're not doing anything more than just pay for it. So we're gonna have to pay for anything else that we get them.
Well, this is gonna be forever, right? So it's worse.
if
It's worth something.
if they already have multiple drawings, why not let us see what they've already come up with?
Well, they don't. All they've done is this.
I thought you said that,
No, this has been developed over about a year. We had a lot of stuff going back and forth, and they would draw us so we could actually see what it looked like formally, professionally. And finally got to the point when, after this one, they said, apparently, oh Lord, we can't do anything anymore for this unless you're all.
they don't have their previous drafts.
Yeah, I'd like to see the A in the middle. If you left a white margin around it, might be visible. And, I think if we saw 3 to 5 drafts, I agree. It's gonna be an expense to get this on all the vehicles. It's gonna be what we're gonna use for the future. I mean, if we have to spend some money on the design, that's the minimal cost of what we're gonna have. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That works with me.
Yeah, that works. I mean, I'm not one over, if we went forward with this, we could go forward with it. But I mean, if that's the consensus of the board, then we can bring the information back to us when you have it. I don't know when that will be, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Could we put a timetable on that? Could we try to have it back for the
I'm gonna
for the
try
retreat?
I will try to have it back in February.
February.
Or the retreat, either one. The retreat's right there before February.
Yeah.
Whatever they can
I'll
do.
try.
What if we incorporated the A into the top of the drop of the water, all those colors, and just made it right at the top? It might be a little curved.
I don't know, I'm not an artist.
I'm not either. I'm an engineer. I should be trying this out.
Yeah,
I mean, I think, they could move that around, give us some different options to look at.
Yeah, let them have at it. See what they come up with.
so many more water cells we get out of our logo.
Never know.
Oh, God, unless you have something for me.
No, any questions for Mr. Hopkins? If not, we'll go ahead, citizen comments. I see nobody in the audience, so we'll go ahead and skip that. Matters from members of the board.
Nothing.
No?
I have nothing.
Well, seeing that, I'd like to hear a motion for adjournment.
So move.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, fun.